Hello and welcome to the AWS Cloud Operations Show. I'm so excited to be your host today. My name is Andres Silva, and today we have a great show for you. We're going to be diving deep into CloudTrail, and we're going to be discussing some new and exciting features of this platform. So I am super excited to have two guests with me here that can speak to that. Two of my favorite people here at AWS. So I am going to bring them on and have them introduce themselves. Isaiah, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Isaiah Salinas. I'm a specialist solution architect with the cloud operation teams, and one of the services I specialize is in CloudTrail.
Thank you. Suchita?
Hi, everyone. My name is Suchita Verma, and I'm one of the product managers for AWS CloudTrail.
Excellent. So great to have you both here. And great that we're going to be talking about CloudTrail, which is one of my favorite services and one service that I work with for many years, right? Very, very closely. So we're going to be discussing some new features and how they can help some of our customers. But before we start, it might be a good idea to, level set everybody and start from the beginning on what CloudTrail is. So maybe Suchita, can you explain to us what CloudTrail is and what it entails?
Yeah. So CloudTrail is an AWS service that does a very, very seemingly simple thing. It captures all AWS API activity that is going through customers' account and makes these records available to customers via multiple means. And customers can use this information to meet the compliance requirements, to identify and troubleshoot any security issues, as well as for operational troubleshooting. CloudTrail events, they basically answer the question who did what and when in your AWS environment, and also tells you whether that action was successful or not. So very, very relevant information when you're trying to figure out if someone has done something wrong and you want to see how many resources that this person has accessed and things like that.
Yeah, and I think it's a service that if you have worked with AWS, you know what it is, but it's good to understand all the capabilities, right? And it sounds like it's an excellent audit log, right? Like it's so important, right, for operations. But there's this other thing, Suchita, called CloudTrail Lake. Can you explain the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. So CloudTrail, as I said, provides customer multiple ways to receive these audit logs. The first one that I want to talk to you about is a trail. It's basically a configuration that you as a customer would go in and say that this is what I want to log. And you will give us an S3 bucket, your S3 bucket, where you want to push those audit records into. Now, from there, what you do with those records, how do you analyze it? How do you look into it, search into it, is something that the customer owns. And you will build out applications or solutions to be able to search into it. Because you do need access to these logs. You do need to dive into these logs to answer questions, both from your security people, your audit and compliance teams, as well as your developers sometimes. The other one is another way to access this information is through CloudTrail Lake. CloudTrail Lake is basically a managed solution, like almost a wrapped up solution that simplifies from the end-to-end process of capturing these audit logs and being able to analyze and get inference out of it. So it basically squishes together everything that you would do, and it is the fastest way for you to capture your API activity, immutably store it in a managed solution so you don't have to worry about storage. And it comes with an analytical layer. You can run queries on it, you can create dashboards on it. So basically get to an answer as quickly as possible if the question is about AWS activity. That's what CloudTrail Lake is.
Gotcha. So it sounds like we had CloudTrail, and then sounds to me like customers wanted an easier way to consume that data, and that's what CloudTrail.
And that's how CloudTrail Lake came in, because typically the workflow is send it to S3 bucket, make sure your S3 bucket is secure and it is only the right people have access to it, and then have an ETL job on those logs to be able to analyze. So has some steps that customers need to take before they can jump into it. With CloudTrail Lake, it's like batteries included.
Right.
So logs with batteries included. So jump into it.
I like that. Batteries included, right? And it sounds like there's better control because on the S3 bucket, you have to lock it down. But with Lake,
Yeah.
how does it work? Can customers go and change stuff?
No, so Lake immutability is in the design itself.
Okay.
So as you mentioned, the security of the log is customer's responsibility in Trails because the S3 bucket is there, and then they can have IAM permissions, make sure it's locked down. But if somebody goes and changes something, deletes a log, you would be able to identify that the log has been manipulated with, but you cannot really stop it if somebody has access to it, right? If somebody goes and deletes that log, not much you can do. CloudTrail Lake, when we were designing it, we did design it from the point of view of being compliance and security first. So it is a managed storage that CloudTrail Lake manages. And once data is in, you as a customer, any of your users cannot delete anything. It's immutable by design. And then you have choice on how long you want to store the data. We have customers who want to store data for 1 year. We have customers who want to store this data for 7 years. So they can just log it, store it, and forget it, and use it as and when they need it.
Yeah, and I forgot to bring this up, Suchita. I'm sorry. This is the slide that we were going to use to explain, but I want to use this slide to ask you an additional question. And I know you touched on it, but can you elaborate on how it works with other services?
Mhm. So if you can just quickly if you do like 2 clicks, it'll bring up some verbiage on the side. Yeah, thank you.
There you
One
go.
more. Yeah,
There you
so
go.
all of these I had spoken to. So CloudTrail Lake right now, one is the producers of the log. All AWS services do log into CloudTrail Lake, similar to CloudTrail Trail. So that is one. In CloudTrail Lake, you can also ingest data, auditable data from other sources that are not AWS related. You can get AWS config source also. So it has a broader range on what you can do. It answers more broader questions. So for example, if you're getting AWS config CIs, now you can see that something changed, a resource changed, and now you can come back and like correlate it with CloudTrail logs to see who made the change. So you can build that story in CloudTrail Lake. And with non-AWS sources, you could have other applications that are either working in the realm of your AWS, and you want to be able to see, this particular person you've identified as a person of interest. You want to see all of the action that this person has taken. You can pull or push logs from all of those sources into CloudTrail Lake and have like an aggregated view.
Got it. Got
So
it.
that is consumer side.
Hmm.
On the consumption side, on the sources or the personas that consume this information to be able to answer questions. So one is this visualize and analyze capability on top of CloudTrail Lake itself, but CloudTrail Lake also integrates through federation with Athena, where if you are using Athena to run your queries, you can directly point Athena to CloudTrail Lake data. You don't have to move the data out, and you can use Athena to, peek into CloudTrail Lake and see what's going on in your environment.
Actually, that's pretty cool. So if I understand correctly, with Athena, I can just go directly into the CloudTrail Lake data, and maybe combine it with other things that I have in Athena. Is that the goal of that?
Yeah.
Got it. Got it. That's actually pretty cool.
Mhm.
All right, that's great. I think. Is there anything else you wanted to share about on this slide,
Yeah,
Suchita?
I mean, there's this new icon that has come into the CloudTrail Lake from Capture, Store, Aggregate, and Visualize and Analyze, which is enrichment, which
Mm.
is really the topic of today. But just let's kick it off.
Okay.
Very
Okay. Good.
excited about this feature.
Excellent. Let's go to it. Let's go to
Yeah.
it. So that's the meat of our presentation today, or of our show today. So we have these two things. We have event enrichment and expansion, right? Can you explain what event enrichment in CloudTrail is?
Yeah. So as I just we discussed, right? What is it that CloudTrail logs today? CloudTrail events, management and data events, will basically tell the actor who did the action, what the action was, what the result of the action was, and what the time of the action is. And that is very relevant for audit and compliance and security monitoring. But now customers can actually enrich this event with additional information such as resource tags. such as IAM global condition keys, and it gives them additional value that they can append to these audit logs and simplifies their analysis in the future.
Excellent. That's awesome. How about um, the other part?
Event
Event
expansion.
expansion. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We're clubbing this together because event expansion by itself can also be enabled. But if you are enriching your events with additional information, we do expand your events by default. And what event expansion does is today there is a limit on how large a CloudTrail event could be, and that is 256 KBs. Not today, until today, this much, right? And to meet that 256 KB limit, CloudTrail has a hierarchy of things that we could either truncate or remove if we are hitting those limits, right? So with event expansion, what we're trying to do is we are increasing this limit from 256 KB to 1 MB, which means that if you are, as a customer in your CloudTrail event, seeing some truncation that is happening, and you enable this, the chances of being in something be truncated or omitted will go down because the event size has expanded. So it can go up to 1 MB. So that's one. And if you enable your event enrichment, we want to make sure that we expand the event because in all requirements, who did what and where does remain the most important thing, and context is an additional thing. So as you add more context to it, your size of the event would increase, and we want to make sure that it does not impact your CloudTrail event per se as you use it today.
Excellent, excellent. So it looks to me like these two features, which are obviously are complementary. One is just to add additional information to your events that can be useful, right? And then the other one is obviously making space for that, right? Well, I remember the first time Isaiah explained to me this, I asked him a question. I said, well, how would I use that, right? Why, as a customer, why do I care, right? What kind of problem is this solving? And he gave me a good answer, but I want to hear yours.
Oh my God. I hope this one is good too. So, whenever there's a security or a compliance issue,
Mhm.
right, it always revolves around a context. It's not that somebody would just come in and like just look into your audit logs. You come to look in your audit logs when there is a context attached to it. And that context could be anything. It could be an actor, which already CloudTrail events comes in. It's like okay, this is the actor. I want to know what all did this person do. That is
Mhm.
something that you can easily do with CloudTrail events without even enriching it.
Mhm.
But we have seen that there are other business contexts in an organization that is using AWS that is critical, and that is how customers track their AWS activity. That is how customers prepare their compliance reports. To give you an example, we have a customer. They tag their resources based on the compliance requirements. Right. So this S3 bucket, the CC2 instance is tagged in a way it is, let's say, HIPAA compliant,
Mhm.
right? And then what they want to do is they want to answer questions like, tell me what is going on, who is accessing all my resources that are tagged for this particular compliance,
I see.
right? So there is a context. There's a context. It could be compliance, it could be security, it could just be an application because that's how you're grouping it, or it could be a cost. So that is one piece. So how do you do that? You do need to overlay that context into your CloudTrail event. Now, what you do is with enrichment, you can actually insert that context into the event itself.
Mhm.
And then with CloudTrail Lake or any other analysis tool that you're using,
Mhm.
you can come into CloudTrail Lake and query and say, show me everything, all activity that has touched these resources that are tagged a certain way. So it simplifies that. You don't have to overlay it. So
I
that's
see.
one use case, right? And the other use case is IAM global condition keys. So these are basically the condition keys that AWS evaluates when an authorization decision is made, whether this principal can take this access or not, whether this principal tagged in a certain way is allowed to take this action or not. And now you can, with just a click, or depending on how many IAM global condition keys you want, you can insert that like during that API authorization process, which is creating the CloudTrail event, what condition keys were evaluated and what was the value of that key. So that is additional information that you can look into to figure out what is happening in your API calls. What are the request parameters? How were they evaluated? And you can simplify your security analysis.
I see. So, um, the those condition keys were not being added before and now are added in the context of the API call. Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Got it. So now I can see when a specific condition key was used for an API call.
For an
Got it.
API call. Yes.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Mhm.
That's that definitely helps understand the feature. And by the way, Isaiah, I think Suchita did a better job than you, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, wow, that was a better explanation than I could give. But yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. Okay, so I think I got it now. We covered some good use cases. Maybe it'll be a good idea to see a demo of it, right? Or
Yeah,
is
just
there?
a couple of things,
Mhm,
Andres. I did want to talk about. I should have covered that. So within the IAM global condition keys,
mhm,
and maybe Isaac can show that there is, I think AWS has around 50 or more global condition keys that
mhm,
you can include in your policies. Um, in this launch, we are supporting a subset, I believe around 20.
mhm.
And the supporting, we have chosen it based on customer request, how customers want to categorize CloudTrail logs. But we continue to add more. So keeping that out there, that if there are use cases, if there's need, definitely our roadmap evolves, and we would love to hear on that.
Excellent. So I think the best thing is for customers that are watching this is that if you see something that's missing that you would like to have in the product, reach out to your account team, right? And they'll make sure that we can, get that information to Suchita and the product team. All right. Good. Anything else, Suchita?
No, nothing comes to mind. We
Okay.
can jump
Uh,
in the demo if
All
something.
right, yeah, maybe we can keep talking through the demo, right, and discussing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen for Isaiah so he can walk us through the demo, Isaiah.
Excellent. Yeah. So as mentioned, it's currently a feature is available today within CloudTrail Lake. So this can be added within a new event, a data store that you create with CloudTrail Lake, or you can have existing event data store
Oh,
that
so
are,
Isaiah, so this
yeah,
is only available in CloudTrail Lake.
That is
correct. Yeah, it's only available correct in CloudTrail Lake.
That's it's good to clarify that so customers understand. Excellent. Okay.
So as mentioned, it could be set up within a new event data store, or you can have an existing event data store that is currently tracking management events or data events. And so let me just show you how it looks when you create a new event data store within CloudTrail Lake. So I'll go ahead and click new event data store, and we'll go ahead and give it a name. And then basically we're going to select our pricing options. We'll leave everything here default. And then we'll go ahead and click next. And then we're going to leave everything here default, leave it as management events, AWS events, and then we'll go ahead and click next. So in the third screen here, this is where the event enrichment section is going to appear. And so you have this enrich events section where you can then add specific tags, keys that you want CloudTrail to basically include them or enrich them in the actual event. So if you have a resource that has those tag keys already applied and you enable these within a rich event section, those specific tag keys will then get included within the event.
So this is where Suchita was saying, like, if you have a key called compliance or compliance framework,
yeah.
and you have values like HIPAA, PCI, and things like that, this is where you would configure that specific key.
Yeah.
Correct. And
Okay.
so depending on how your tagging strategy is, how you're utilizing tags within your environments, you will want to include all the tags that you would like to track within those events. And
Is there
so,
a limit to how many tags I can track?
yeah, maximum 50 tag keys
Okay, very
and
good.
you can include. And so, like for example, in this example, I'm including environments. I'm going to include data classification because I'm using that to basically classify my specific data if it's sensitive, it's normal, different other pieces of data classification. Some other common tag if you want to tag it by like the team
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. So once you include all your resource tags or also principal tags too as well within this area, then you have the option also to include IAM global condition keys. And this is what Shishita mentioned, that the specific IAM global condition keys, when it's evaluated with an authorization request, these specific condition keys will get included in the event. So if you look, we have many various global condition keys that you can use. This will help you, if you want to do a pattern analysis as far as how the actual event occur. It'll basically, if you're utilizing these condition keys, it can show you a pattern, was the condition key for a specific region coming from a principal org ID or an account ID. So you can basically choose these specific condition keys. Other things are like, was the condition key were they using MFA in other areas? So many use cases around how you can utilize these global condition keys when CloudTrail utilizes it in authorization, and I'll basically include those in your event too as well. Since I added specific tag keys here, you'll notice that the event size, that expand event size, was enabled by default. Whenever you enable event enrichment, it automatically enables this because it is going to increase the size of the event. So this would need to be enabled by default. So that's always a check for you. You can't uncheck it. Once you have it set, basically you're just going to review it, and then you'll create the event data store. I'm going to go ahead and cancel. I already have this set up in my demo event data store, where I have the same tags that I am tracking here included in my event context. And so let's say, for an example, you had an actor that came.
Isaiah, I have a quick question. So if I have an EDS, a data store already running, can I go back and edit it and add these features?
Yes, you can. So in an existing event data store, let's take for example, if I go into my org here, you can basically go to event context and basically enable it.
I see. Okay. Excellent.
So if we go back to the demo one that I had here, this one here already has it set up. I'm tracking the environment team, data classification, and some conditional keys here too as well. So let's say, for example, you had an actor that went and made several changes to S3 objects and made various S3 calls. Now I need to then correlate as far as, what were the API calls that affected, my objects or resources that had a data classification of sensitive or were from production environment.
I see.
As long as you have let me go back to my demo bucket here. You have your resources tagged. So in this particular example, I have a demo bucket here. I could go ahead and look at the properties. I do have tagging enabled for these here. So I have the data classification set up. I have objects. They also have the same properties too as well when it comes to the tagging. So when I make changes to here, since I have my event data store set up with event enrichment, any type of API calls associated to those, they'll see that it has those tags and basically include those in the event. So let's go and take a look at what it actually looks like when you query CloudTrails. I'm going to go to my query.
And just to add over here, Andres, imagine, the use case that Isaiah is sharing is you want to probably see all our activity happening on resources where classified important data is stored. To do so, like to be able to do it without having the tag information, you would have to have a list of all of those data sources, resources, can then come in and come to CloudTrail logs and then say, show me all activity
Mm-hmm.
happening where data is the resource name is this, depending on the
Mm-hmm.
number of. So you can see how complicated and how manual it can get.
Right.
And with this, hopefully, you'll see the query. It simplifies it because you are using the grouping methodology and you're bringing it into your activity logs itself.
And if you even have that list, it keeps changing, right?
It keeps changing.
New
Yeah.
buckets are added, new resources are added, deleted, and it's a pain to
Yeah.
maintain that list. So that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah. And so just to see what it looks like. So one thing it did mention is when you enable event enrichment, it actually puts all those tags into a new field called eventContext. And so you're going to see a new field when you query CloudTrail Lake called eventContext. And that's where it's going to contain all those tags. It's going to contain all the IAM global condition keys that you included into your event data store to track via event enrichment. So I'm going to include this in my query just to show you what it looks like. But within this query here, you're going to see that I'm basically taking that specific event context and grabbing the resource tags that were applied to it.
Mm-hmm.
It also captures the resource ARN of the resource that has those tags. And so I could then utilize that within a query. So let's go ahead and run this. I'm also filtering based on S3 and specific delete objects and put objects event names. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Let's go ahead and run it. Okay, so it returned the results. So let's just take a look at that new field that we have available called eventContext, just to see what type of data is included. Let me just expand this here. So as you can see here, it will, if I had IAM global conditional keys, it'll contain the principal tags here. These are my resource tags. And so these are all the tag keys that I apply within my event enrichment. It will store the ARN of the resource. It will also give you all the different tags that are set up within this resource that I'm actually tracking. So in here you can see it's grabbing the data of a classification, the value of it, the environment, the value for that one, and also the tag key of team and that environment and that value too as well. So within my query, I can make use of this and start building out queries based on this information. So in my query here, I'm then basically showing the API, the event name, and then the tags that were included for this specific event under event context. What was the IAM user initiating these requests, the resource, and the actual S3 object that actually was affected by the specific event name. So it gives an example how you can quickly run a query based on your event enrichment to pull specific reports based on specific event names, based on specific tags too as well. So to give you another example how you can use this, this specific output was basically showing me all my tags that I'm tracking right now, coming from S3. But what if I now want to filter this down to specific events that are associated to a specific tag key R value?
I was going to ask that, so I'm glad you're going to cover it.
So yeah, so let's say, for example, you had all these changes made to S3, but you're concerned as far as what event or calls were made to resources that had a data classification of sensitive. I need to know what user made those calls, when it occurred, and what events took place and what resources were affected. So I have another sample query here. That basically does that by data classification. And so we'll talk a little bit about the query here. So query, I'm grabbing the event, the time, the name, utilizing a function just to pull out the user identity user that actually initiated this request. I'm then pulling out specific segments of that event context. So I'm taking
Isaiah,
out,
can you make the letters bigger? I don't know if it's because I'm old and can't see anymore, but yeah, there you go. That's much better.
So I'm taking out the specific resource tags of data classification. And I'm basically also then taking the resource ARN for those resources, and then also grabbing the S3 object. If it was a specific object, I grab that to show in my query. I'm then just applying specific filters, basically only returning specific calls that event context is, there is information in event context field. Filtering based on data classification being sensitive. So those are the information I want to look at. So I add that into my where clause. And then basically additional filtering is basically only events coming from the S3 service and specific event names such as delete object and put objects within a specific time period. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, and so now it's showing me all the events and the time range, the associated user identity, what was the event that actually took place. I see there were some objects. It had a data classification as sensitive. I'm now able to tell what resource was it and what objects. So this is very helpful because if you did had a specific security incident where specific API calls were made to your S3 resources and you had event enrichment enabled, you could quickly, run a query that will provide you all this information that you would need to show you all the resources that were affected and by which user identity too as well.
Got it.
So another thing.
Before you move on, I had a question. So it looks like this event data store has S3 data events on it. Is that correct? The one
Correct.
that you,
yes.
Okay. So can you explain the difference between data events and management events real quick?
Sure. Yeah. So let's take an example coming from S3. So management events are control plane level events, and so these could be basically events such as like create buckets, different things like that. Those would be considered management events. Like start EC2 instance, things like that. But when you want to get events down to the resource level, those are considered data events, which we call data plane events. So when you have specific API calls or events such as delete object, put object, those are happening at the resource level. So those would be considered data plane level events or data events. And so those are two different types of events. So when you set up your CloudTrail Lake event data store, during that process, you need to choose what type of events you would like to track. And by default, it selects management events. But you can optionally include also as data events too as well, and then select which type of resource types of data events you would like to track to as well.
And in this case, we're tracking S3 data events. Now, another question is, do these new features also work for management events?
Yes, they do. So you can include them with management events. So event enrichment will work for both management and data events.
I see.
And that's important to, we also have network activity events that we recently launched under 2 months ago. Right now, event enrichment does not work on network activity events. It's only management and data events. And then event enrichment also doesn't work on config items or if you're pulling in events or audit logs from non-AWS sources.
So custom sources doesn't work. Got it. Makes sense, right? Because what context are you going to add, right?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Excellent. Thank you, Isaiah. Keep
going. So another thing I wanted to share with you, I'm going to just copy what I saved here, because what I want to show you too is, you have these queries that I have here, some sample queries, but another thing where this event enrichment also works together with is something that we recently released in the past reInvent was natural language query processor. And so that's basically here the query generator. So if I wanted to basically type in plain English what I want CloudTrail to search for, I can just add in there the information. So for this example, I'll say show me all S3 changes with the resource tag environment that has the value of prod for today. This will also return to you queries that are utilizing this new event context feature. So I'll go ahead and say generate query. And also very important, you select the correct data store that is management events. So I'll go ahead and click generate query. And so let's see what query it returns. And all right, so in here, it looks like this one will work. It's basically checking for the event source being S3. And it's doing a filter based on event context and resource tags is not null, and basically matching specific tag keys being that and within a certain time period. So let's say we return some.
So I think this is a great way for me to learn the syntax of that I need to.
Well, not learn actually. Why do you need to learn?
Well, I don't know. I like to learn, right? So,
Okay, but yeah, to me, it is a great way to jump into it without
right.
having to learn the details, and I can learn as it's putting out the queries. But that's how I think. Different.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
No, it's actually, I mean, like what Andres mentioned, it's one thing that I found helpful because, like, for example, I ran this specific prompt a little bit before, and it returned this any match, and this was the first time I haven't used any match before, but now I know how to use it, and it's something very powerful because I've been doing something like this in another method that was a little bit more complicated. This is a lot more easier to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely you could utilize it to understand how the syntax works and how to build out pretty powerful queries too as well.
So I think this is for like people like me that we're not experts in in the SQL syntax language. That's why I said learn, because I want to learn more, right? But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, Suchito. Why learn, right? When you can just
For me, for people like me, I want to get to the answer quickly. So
yeah,
for me, if it can give me this, probably I'll always start from it, and then maybe continue to change it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, yeah, and it definitely will speed up the process in basically creating your SQL query. So definitely make use of the query generator, the natural language query processor. Type out the prompts how you would want to query CloudTrail, and you'll be surprised with a lot of the results it'll give you, and it'll help you find the information that you need to as well.
So I like Yagia's comment. I put it on the screen. Is so many times we hear that, hey, can you give me the query for this, right? And now you can just use the natural language query generator, So it's definitely a big win for a lot of our customers that, want to simplify things. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Yagia.
Awesome. So as we see the results, it returned basically all the results I needed. And I believe at the very end is the event context. Yeah, there it is. So the event context section. So I can then take this query and start modifying it, building on top of it. I could update my prompt to get an updated query too as well. So definitely another feature within CloudTrail Lake you can make use of that actually complements what event enrichment does too as well.
Is there any cost associated with generating the query?
Oh yeah, so basically there is cost when running the query because
when creating the natural language.
Oh, to generate the query? No, there's no additional cost to generate.
Even better. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's costs associated when you run the query because it does have to do a data set. Yeah.
Yes.
So another feature I wanted to highlight too that you can utilize together with event enrichment is our visualization widgets within our dashboards. So let me show you how this would look. So I have another save query, build it on top of the other ones that I mentioned as far as data classification and changes. This one here is basically doing a count of basically all my S3 events associated to delete object and put objects where data classification was sensitive. And I want to get a count of how many changes occurred per resource. So let's go ahead and run this query here. And so I'm getting the results of the counts of how many delete objects were associated within a particular time period, the IAM user, and the data classification, the resource, and the actual object. So I can go ahead and utilize now this visualizer section here on the tab, where I can then take this query output and build out a visualization widget where I can add it to a dashboard within CloudTrail. So you have specific chart types that you can utilize. For example, I'll use the bar chart. I'll create this as a horizontal. I will use it as the S3 for the label. So it shows all my S3 objects here. And then I'll get the count. And so now I have a widget that will then show me, what were all the API associated activities for these objects, how many occurred for these specific objects that had a data classification of sensitive. I can then add this widget to a dashboard. I could either add it to an existing one and give it a widget name. So demo 4, and I'll say updates. That's not sure why that happened, but let's go to dashboards. I have this already set up.
It's the rule of demos, right? That will go wrong when you're live like this. Well, good thing we have the service team here. We can just.
I was about to say, I was like, oh, what was it? It's a network failure. So we need to...
Isaiah, I think your streaming is eating up all the bandwidth at your house.
Could be.
That could be. Let's give it one more try. Oh man, I'm just getting a lot of errors now, left and right. Let's refresh it. Let's run it again.
Yeah, but I said, Anders, this is what I meant when I was saying batteries included.
Yep.
At the same, it doesn't seem like it is there, but it's not just the logs. It's you want to do something with the logs. You want to look into it.
Of course, yeah.
And this is the SQL capability. There's natural language query, visualizations. These are the batteries that I was talking about. You don't have to worry about. There
you go.
That is it.
Yeah. No, but I think it's a super useful feature because you want to consume that data, that data that you have in CloudTrail. You want to make sense of it. You want to use it to make security, business compliance decisions, and having all this data organized. Perhaps based on, okay, this is my sensitive data or this is my HIPAA data, and now have a dashboard that is based on that. That is super cool, right? That it will show me that kind of detail. So that's excellent.
So I got it back up. So let me reshare my screen. I don't know what had to re-log in.
Well, I'm glad you did because I was about to sing a song and dance here. Oh.
Thank you for that. All right, so let's go over here. Get the correct window here. There we go. Okay, so there's my dashboard. And so I'll go ahead and refresh. And so now it's basically whenever you refresh with a dashboard, you can basically, it reruns the query in the background. So you have the option to do a manual refresh or you can schedule refresh. And the reason being this is that, under these widgets, it's basically rerunning that query. So as we mentioned, you run queries within CloudTrail, there is an associated cost. So each time you refresh these widgets will incur an additional cost because you're running that query again in the background. So you have the option whether to manually refresh the visualization widgets, or you can schedule a refresh pattern to as well.
And that's helpful too, because like typically if you're meeting, there's a meeting coming up and it comes up every Mondays 9 a.m. You can go in and set it up and make sure that when the meeting hits, you don't have to go click refresh. The data is there for you.
And this is, I would think that this is especially important when you are scanning a lot of data, right? It may take a few minutes, right? You don't want to be sitting there waiting. You want the data to be available so you can share it. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah.
Correct. And so definitely encourage for those that haven't used Event Enrichment, go ahead and give it a try. We do have a blog article that we published that's available. They'll step you through, many of the different queries that we just showed today, as far as how to set it up and query some changes that you're tracking with the Event Enrichment. We also have a best practice guides available for CloudTrail in our cloud operation best practice site. And so we also just published today, best practice for CloudTrail Lake event enrichment, some things to keep in mind, some things you want to include if you're utilizing the specific feature too as well. And so we'll include the QR codes for this later in the show.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. All right. Well, I want to see if right now we don't have any questions, but maybe I can, go over some of the questions that we had prepared ahead of time and see if you have a question, if any of the viewers have a question, feel free to post it in the comments there. But one question is, what happens if resources are deleted?
So the CloudTrail is actually pulling this information about tags through there's a tagging API that is available to customers. That's what they use. So and we do have like eventual consistency models. So there are cases where before CloudTrail can go and grab the tag of that resources, the resource is deleted. So we don't have that. So in that cases, tags might not be there. So, if a resource is deleted, just know that there's a possibility that the tags might not be there.
Got it.
There's also like just an extension to it. CloudTrail, we will always prioritize the who did what and when because that is the compliance security requirement. And whatever information is, let's say I made a call to an S3 bucket that was tagged in a certain way. At that time, when I call that taggers API, the tagging API, I get pull that information. I will insert that information. At that time, if I do not have that information, we will deliver the CloudTrail event.
Got it.
So, yeah, that's something that as you build.
So you deliver the CloudTrail event and then enrich it.
No. Once the CloudTrail event is delivered, it is stamped. We don't change it.
Okay, gotcha.
Then, as soon as let's say you create a bucket, you add a tag, and by the time we create, let's say you add a tag. When you add a tag, we create an event. At the immediate time, we don't have the tag information available. That event might not have the tag, but then going forward, 5 seconds, 6 seconds later, you do an action. The next event will have it. But once an event is created, it is stamped. You can't.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Understood. All right. How much does it cost?
It doesn't cost per se like anything if you enable it on CloudTrail Lake, but CloudTrail Lake is priced at the volume of data. So the GB of data that you're ingesting into CloudTrail Lake and GB of data that you're scanning using queries. So when you add more information to your event, the size of the event will increase, and that would have impact on the pricing. Now, it is dependent on how many resource tags you add, how big your resource tags are. So it's and how many events in your organization are touching the tags or the global condition keys that you have. But yeah, you would see slight increase in your.
And that's because the CloudTrail Lake is priced based on the data ingested, right?
Yes.
So if those individual events are larger, of course, that's going to have an impact on ingestion.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, very good. Okay, here's another question, and I know that we prepared this question, but will every event include the event context field?
For event context field to appear, you would need to enable event context. That's one. So let's say you have enabled event context, and that field would be populated if it's touching the resource that has that tag that you've included, or the IAM global condition keys that you've included was part of the API evaluation process. But there are cases like, there are times when there's some delivery delays in CloudTrail event. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, the events are delayed for a period of time. And we do, even today, tell when the events are delivered. There's an addendum field. So in those cases, we will not have event context included in the event that is delayed. So a way to see it is like if the event has addendum, it won't have event context.
Okay, very good. And that's, you already covered the same for condition keys is similar, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And then the last question that I have here, let me see if there's any other question. No questions yet. Why is this not available in Trails?
Well, a very good question. So I'd say it's iterative. Like our roadmaps continue to evolve and change based on customers' demand. When we started building this out, we were looking at CloudTrail Lake as because that is the fastest way for you to consume this information. But we are open to hearing from customers if this is something that is of interest and you do want it on Trails. You know, have a conversations with the account teams, and we would definitely uh, bring it on.
Excellent. Are there any other questions, Isaiah, that I missed that you think we should cover?
No, just one, just to keep in mind is the event context, as mentioned, it's CloudTrail Lake specific. So although you may have an event context in your event data store for CloudTrail Lake, it won't appear like in your event history or your event that gets delivered to S3 for Trails. It just be only included within your event data store within CloudTrail Lake.
Yeah, and that makes me think of another question. Is like if I go and add this the event enrichment details, right, for a specific tag and all that. My assumption is that that's going to only work from that point forward, right? I cannot go back 2 weeks ago and try to search for a tag. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely accurate.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
And another thing too is, I mean, I showed an example of utilizing event data store that is at the account level. You can enable event enrichment for an organizational event data store.
Oh, nice.
So then it will basically track all those tag keys or IAM global conditions across your organization via an org event data store.
And that makes so much sense because so many of our customers now have workloads across multiple accounts that, it makes it so much simpler. You can just use the same tagging strategy across all your accounts. Say, this is my sensitive data. And then you can just go to your organizational EDS and say, okay, show me all the events for blah, right? So that's excellent. That's excellent. All right. Good. So I think we talked a little bit about natural language query, but there are other things you wanted to talk about, Suchita, of, what's new in the world of CloudTrail.
Yeah, so I think we did cover natural language query. One thing that we did not touch upon is query result summarization.
Okay.
Which basically currently is in preview and limited to certain regions, but it's almost the next step. So you ask a question, it creates your query, you run the result, and then if your data savvy or a table reader, you can quickly get an answer to that. If you're a visual reader, you can create a dashboard or a visualization, but query result summarization will basically convert it into like natural language. It will convert it into English language, and it'll identify things that are out of ordinary. It'll give you like a summary of whatever there is in the results. So that's another one, another battery included. And so that makes it easier for you to get to the answers very quickly based on how you best consume information. That's one. And then network activity events, we alluded to it. So while event enrichment and event expansion right now is focused only on management and data events, we do have another category of events called network activity events, and they basically capture every API activity that is traversing your VPC endpoint if enabled. And this gives the visibility to the VPC endpoint owner about what are the actions that are coming in from their data parameter to outside world or outside world to inside their data parameter. And they can use this information specifically when you're building out your VPCs and you are trying to fine tune the policies and making sure everything is right. Customers are using this visibility to see, like, this is the VPC policy that I've built. How do I fine tune it? How do I test it that it's working correctly? The right API calls are being access denied and the right API calls are going through. So that is one. And with network activity event, the other major use case is to identify data exfil issues, or if somebody from inside is pushing data outside of your data parameter, or from outside trying to access resources within your data parameter. You can, with this visibility, you can see when that happens.
Excellent. Those are all cool features that I need to go play with now. I'm excited. All right. Anything else you wanted to touch on, Isaiah, before we finish? I have some links to share here as we wrap up. But anything else, Isaiah?
No. Yeah, just the links will show some of the resources that we talked about. today, our blog article, and also our best practice cloud ops side. There's a lot of good information there. And then lastly, we have various interactive demos that covers CloudTrail, Systems Manager, and also CloudWatch too as well. So definitely give it a try.
Excellent, excellent. So we learned a lot today, right? About CloudTrail, about CloudTrail Lake, about event enrichment and expansion, and how useful it is to be able to organize, right, things so that I can find quickly what I'm looking for in terms of workloads, in terms of, data, if data is sensitive. And I'm convinced this is a great feature our customers are going to love, and we wanted to put it out there so that customers know that it is available. So I think this was a great session. Please do benefit from these QR codes that Isaiah has shared with us. They contain a lot of good information that can help you get started, right? And if there's something that's missing, if there's something that we can improve on it, feel free to reach out to your account team and share that information, and we'll make sure it gets to the product team. I want to thank Isaiah and also Suchita for being with me today here and sharing this awesome stuff about CloudTrail. And I want to thank everybody that's watching. Hopefully this was useful to you, and you can put it into practice and benefit from it. We will see you guys in a couple of weeks on the next episode of our cloud operations show. And thanks again for being with us. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.